What's going on? What's going on? All right, you know what time it is and you know what rhyme it is. I'm your gracious host, A6, and it is a cold morning on Friday. A little bit cloudy pretty much. I think it's going to be cloudy today. Might even snow a little later. It snowed a little bit yesterday in the morning. All right, so, before we begin, I'd appreciate if you could hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And this video is the one you guys been waiting for overnight. All right, so if you saw the last video I was in, that I uploaded on my channel, I got pulled over yesterday night while I was traveling about my private capacity, pretty much. So here's the backstory with this whole situation, because you couldn't really see it, some of it. I'll tell you what happened from start to finish. So I'm just traveling about my business and shit. Police officer pulls up behind me. First, he shines his light real bright, because I know what he was trying to see, the tag, because the tag was it was from another area pretty much. It's a New Hampshire tag. And keep in mind, I'm in Maryland. So he shines the light. He didn't put his cop lights on yet, but he got behind me and shined the light. So I knew what time it was. I pulled over. So I went ahead and pulled over. And he got in the car. He says, license and registration. But before he said that, I said, officer, just a question, do you plan on upholding your oath to the Constitution of the United States of America tonight? He said, yeah. So I says, okay, what can I do for you? Then we proceeded from there. He asked me for license and registration. I hand him the passport card. Now, I've been sprinkling little breadcrumbs here and there and letting people know that they need to get their status corrected, because it's very imperative you correct your status in this current climate with everything going on the way it is. Right now, we're not fighting a war that can be won with guns. It's not that kind of war. It is not that kind of war. And Biden showed you that when he got in office. People will complain about Trump, but yo, nigga, Trump is about like a quarter of the threat that Biden is. Biden represents the leftist agenda, which basically wants pretty much, I think they want everybody in unison vaccinated. They want everybody pretty much in the fictional federal world. They want laws passed that violate constitutional rights. They want to piss all over the Constitution. And that's just not what we stand for as Americans. And, Constitution applies to us as black people, too. We got the amendment in there basically classifying us as, humans, pretty much. And there's no slavery also. So, hey, all that stuff's in there. So, yeah, I like the Constitution a lot, because the Constitution is pretty much keeping me where I need to be at. So, at any rate, the game pursues pretty much. The game pursues from there. And if you're doing this state citizen passport thing, I'm telling you right now, it's all about jurisdiction and your citizenship. That U.S. federal citizenship is fucking you up. I quote you, Yusuf L, on that. That's what's pulling you into that jurisdiction and giving you all these tickets, fines, and points. That's what's messing you up right there. Otherwise, if you correct your status, you go by common law. Common law is if there's no injured party, there's no crime. That's what it is. So if you don't go up to somebody and, smack them upside the head with a tire iron, there's no injured party. If you don't go up there and destroy their house or kick their doors in or kick their windows to their car in, there's no injured party. There's been no property damage. Shit like driving, watch my mouth. Shit like traveling with expired plate is not an injured party. It's color of law pretty much, and that's what they've been enforcing. So police are really just, if you really look at it from a technical standpoint, police are revenue collectors. Their job is to generate revenue for the city to keep everything moving. The system is very brilliantly put together. And it's put together like this so it continues to run and it stays in the shadows and nobody really knows what's going on unless they stop and do research. But see, the good thing about the age of information we live in right now is there's plenty of information out there. You don't even have to read the information anymore. You can do an audio book. You can put your Dr. Dre or your Skull Candy headphones on or whatever and listen to some podcasts. You can even listen to some audio books. There's so much information out here that's not being used that can pull you out of this whole situation, but I don't think people know to even look at it or care enough to look. And that's how they're getting over still, because they realize the internet is an equalizer. If people know what to look for and know what's going on, they realize that. So they have to figure out a way to keep everybody in their jurisdiction. So at the end of the day, the jurisdiction is key. So what Biden just placed a mandate basically saying, I think it was what is it, executive order. Yeah, the same shit they blasted Trump for doing, saying it was illegal. Joe Biden's ass gets in office and casts, I think 17 of them or 21 or something like that. And one of them was masks must be worn in federal areas. It's a mandate, basically. So, with that said, if you are in a federal area, you have to wear a mask pretty much. So, there's two, a lot of people don't even know what the power of that mandate is. That mandate just gave you the option of being in their another option of being in their jurisdiction. If you're wearing a mask and you're walking down a street that's not technically federal, they can try to pull you in federal jurisdiction pretty much if you're wearing that mask. They can try to yank you in their jurisdiction because if you're wearing a mask, it can be argued that you're acknowledging you're on federal property. And this is shit that the Democrats have been doing for years, man. Like, the Republicans do shit like this too, but I think it's more so heavy on the Democrat side. They play nice, they smile in your face, ha-ha, kiki, this, that, and the third. But then behind your back, they throw you all the way under the bus. And if you don't know what's going on, you're not going to have any defense to this shit. So back to the topic. So they pretty much ran my passport card. He came back and shit. That's when I talked to you on the camera. He ended up coming back and saying I need to run the VIN. So he was trying to overstep his territory. Because he wasn't even supposed to do that. He really was supposed to let me go. But a lot of these police officers, again, are revenue collectors. And a lot of them overstep their boundaries. And they'll test you to see if you know your rights or not. And unfortunately for them, at this current time, I know my goddamn rights. So he went ahead. I told him, yeah, I don't want you to run the VIN. I'd rather you just let me continue to travel up the road, or just basically say continue to travel. You gotta watch your language too, because if you say the wrong shit, that pulls you in their jurisdiction. So it's all a game of semantics. They're speaking legalese, we're speaking English, two different languages and dictions. So we gotta understand the difference. One word in one language doesn't necessarily mean the same thing in the other one. So that's very important to know. So basically, what ends up happening, dude, he asked me to get out of the car. So I say, if you need to get the VIN, it's right here on the door. So he says, step out of the car. So I say, all right, well, whatever. Get my phone and shit. I get out the car pretty much. And because I put him on block with that constitutional question and asked him if he was willing to abide his oath to the Constitution tonight, that holds him against the wall, so he can't really try to do anything legally out of pocket against the Constitution. So he did not search my car, he just checked the VIN. And he even said at one point, do you have when I got out of the car, he asked me, do I have a weapon on me? I told him, yeah, I have which I messed up on that. I actually was bearing arms, not carrying a weapon. That's legalese also. Bearing arms is constitutional, so that shit's in the Constitution. It can't really be changed or misconstrued. You would have to fight that in court, I will say that much. And Marbury versus Madison 1803 stated that any law that goes against the Constitution of the United States of America is null and void. So basically, the fact that I even have a fucking permit to carry is not even really a relevant thing, because Marbury versus Madison said any law that the state creates that goes against the constitutional capacity pretty much is null and void. That's what it says. Hey, these are Supreme Court laws, man. You got to use their shit against them. So in any case, I gave him the he got the my wallet out of the car. I authorized him to get my wallet. I said he says I haven't searched your car, and he says do you have a permit? I said, yeah, it's in the car. I do authorize you to get the wallet only and put the wallet in my hand, and I will take the permit out for you and give it to you. I did not authorize him to go through any of my stuff, because that would be a violation of the Fourth Amendment, which is protection against unauthorized searches or seizures. He also tried to tow my car, and I told him, yeah, I'm traveling in my private capacity right now. I'm not operating in commerce. I do not consent to you towing my car. And that would also be a violation of the Fourth Amendment, which is protection against unauthorized searches or seizures. So a seizure basically is when they take your property pretty much, or the straw man's property. So the fact that I told him I was traveling in my private capacity basically shows him I'm not operating as a straw man. I'm operating on the private side pretty much. Well, I'm functioning on the private side. I don't like the word operating. I told him I'm functioning on the private side. So, he went back to his little car and shit. They had me handcuffed against the back of the car. And they tried to get me to sit down. I said, yeah, I prefer to stand pretty much. So I stood there. And there's like 3 police officers besides the one guy that pulled me over. And the guy was black. This had nothing to do with race. The guy was black, so we got to cut that shit out too. Because a lot of times, I have to say majority of the time, the shit ain't race related, yo. A lot of that shit could be just corruption, yo. And the fuck up thing is, if we all work together against corruption, we can overturn this shit. But the fact that we argue with each other about race, which I used to be caught up in too, but the fact that we still argue with each other about race, you know, we're basically putting off the real problem. But there is a race issue. I won't deny that. You guys are partially right, but we need to stop calling everything racial discrimination. This wasn't racial discrimination. The police officer was black. So anyway, you can make the argument he still was racist, whatever. He could have been a CO. You know, anybody who knows what I know knows what that means, so we'll leave it there. But I don't think he was. I think this shit was basically him not knowing what the fuck was going on. So he had the passport card, he got the permit for the arm that I was bearing, and he went ahead and ran it, and everything came back. So they couldn't get me on that. They were trying to get something on me. They tried to basically get me to admit I was driving, not traveling. They couldn't do that because I basically told them I'm not operating in commerce. You can't lock me in that, pretty much. I didn't say you can't lock me in. I was very generous with the way I spoke, which is how you have to carry yourself with these things. You can't be loud and you can't be in their face, because they will be assholes and they can throw you in jail for anything. They can throw you in jail for wearing a hat that's not white. It won't stick, but you'll be in jail. And your day's pretty much still ruined because you got all that time you missed. So they can tow your car too, and if they tow your car, you gotta pay fees to get that shit out of the impound, and that's a pain in the ass. So they can make your day real inconvenient. So like the way you talk to them is very important. You have to maintain your cool. One thing I pride myself in is being able to keep a cool, level head even in dire situations. I'm able to think clearly and think rationally and don't let my emotions take over. That's some training I think a lot of people can stand to use, because if you haven't been rattled with this whole situation that's happening with the nation's capital and everything like that in the past week, if that didn't rattle you, you're ready. You need to be learning this information, and you need to be arming yourself so you can take your rights back from the U.S. corporation that's stepping all over our goddamn freedoms. So yeah, if you're not at that point yet, you need to get your head right first, because you can't think when you're emotionally charged. You can't think properly. You start to do shit that's not rational, like screaming at police officers. That's a bad fucking idea. So anyway, yeah, so he tried to wrangle me in their jurisdiction. He goes back to his car again, talks on his radio, whatever. He came back and said, "Uncuff him, please." They couldn't do shit. They put my fucking gun back on my hip. They put my arm back on my hip, my actual physical man. They put it back on me, on my hip. They put my gun back on my hip. The police did this. They couldn't do shit. I had all my constitutional rights back because I had the state citizen passport, man. And a lot of people asking, well, how do you get the state citizen passport? I've left you breadcrumbs, all of my old videos. I don't think I'm gonna do a video on how to do the process. There's plenty of information out there. I don't know, if enough people ask me to do it, I might do it myself. I'd also recommend looking at my man, Finest Thing Walking on YouTube. Go follow him also. He got some real good information on how to travel privately, how to bank privately, all that shit. Check that out also, man. We moving on a whole new wave. 2021, we breaking away from the fucking government, man, because the government is tripping right now. They are tripping. A lot of shit you see is psyops. A lot of that shit ain't real. But yes, that's where we at right now, man. So yeah, he pretty much let me go, and that's when I wrapped the video up, man. And that's where we at. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. You know, drop me a comment or whatever. Hit me with a like, a subscription. It would greatly appreciate it. Meanwhile, I'll holler at you later. Peace out.